What is up, everybody? Welcome in to the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael, and this is John. John, say what's up.
What's up? I said it.
He said it. He did say it. It's true. We are a fantasy football podcast. If you've never tuned in with us before, we just like to sit here and talk about fantasy football, players we like, players we don't like. And today we have a special episode. We are doing our weekly buy. It was originally, we were doing to tilt or not to tilt. However, being that it's become, it's week 5 already, we're going to do buy, sell, or hold. We're going to be talking about a good amount of players here, about 20 or so, and whether we're going to buy them, sell them, or hold on to them going into this week 5 and the rest of the season. Kind of our outlook on some players who are hot, who are not, and kind of everywhere in between. So very excited for that. Also, real quick, if you guys could smash that like button, we'd really, really appreciate it. Also, subscribe and the little bell so you get a notice every time we go live and we launch a new video. So check that out. Lastly, before we jump into everything, we also have our Thursday night preview tonight. And one more thing, I know I'm going back and forth, but Discord link is in the bio or the description. We have a community of people there that are awesome and talk fantasy football 24/7. So check it out. But John, you want to start off with our first buy, sell, hold player?
All right. First one on the block, quarterback Sam Darnold. The
Woo!
craziest name you could ever expect to be a quarterback 5 currently in the league. Kind of damn stud. Last week against Dallas, threw for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Has gotten 2 or more touchdowns in almost every game this season, and has just been producing stats. Next few games you're looking at are Philadelphia, Minnesota, New York Giants, and then Atlanta. So I'm going to say if you haven't picked him up off the waivers yet, send a little small trade offer. His name value doesn't have too much to it, so you may be able to get him cheap, but the way that he's performing, you may not be. And at best, you're looking at a high-end quarterback 2 on your roster the rest of the season with some upside.
Yeah, so the best, I like Sam Darnold. He's currently only rostered in 33.8% of leagues, so go check and see if he's on the waiver wires. I actually picked him up and dropped another guy we're about to talk about. I like his next stretch of games. He's got 4 really solid games. I think Minnesota is the hardest. They're, I think 15th best against the quarterback, so still middle of the pack. Everybody else in that category, though, Philadelphia, New York, and Atlanta are all bottom half of the league against the quarterback as far as fantasy points go. So I like that. He's developing rapport with DJ Moore. Obviously, we should see Christian McCaffrey back within the next week or 2, hopefully. And even so, you've got Chuba Hubbard there to fill in while he's gone. So I'm buying Sam Darnold. Really, by buying, just go check your waiver wires. And like John said, if he is, maybe he's picked up and you're a quarterback needy, see if you can get pry him from that Sam Darnold owner. So let's move over to Ryan Tannehill, currently quarterback 21. John, are you buy, sell, or holding Ryan Tannehill?
He's a seller or a hold if I've got him. If he's already rostered by me and I'm looking to not, kill myself running out of quarterbacks, I'll hold him. But I don't think you're going to get much value for him. So I'd put him on the block, see if you can get anyone that's looking for a quarterback. Last season, he lit it up. So a lot of people are still thinking of his name from last year where he finished quarterback 8, threw for 3,800 yards. This year, even with Julio Jones, it just doesn't seem like much is going on there. And then his end of season schedule is just a little tough. Playoff schedule is going to be Pittsburgh, San Francisco, possibly getting Jacksonville week 14, but a bye week before that. So I'm just not happy with Tannehill. I don't want him on my rosters at this point.
Yeah, so I am selling Tannehill. You're probably not going to get much for him. If worst comes to worst, you cut him. I cut him to pick up Sam Darnold. Julio Jones and A.J. Brown are still banged up, may not play this week. I know A.J. Brown is more than likely out, but Julio is questioned. So, it's just not good. It's not good. He's been throwing interceptions. Last year he had a total of 7. He's already got 3 through the first 4 games. And then he's got 1 rushing touchdown. Last year he had 7 as well. And most of them came to the on through the later end of the season. But it seems like this offense is just running through Derrick Henry alone, and especially with AJ Brown and Julio not performing when they're on the field, and also being banged up. It's just worrisome for Ryan Tannehill. So I know he's got the upside, but I am selling / cutting him. And like I said, I picked up Sam Darnold and dropped Ryan Tannehill. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Another quarterback you guys can be looking at to trade away, in my opinion, if he's even rostered. As of right now, he's rostered 64% of leagues, but Derek Carr, quarterback 12 on the season right now. If you have picked him up, trade him away. He's had 4 of the biggest games in the season, throwing for 50 times against Baltimore and nearly 35 plus or more each time since then. Last week against the Chargers, we watched it on Monday night when he's not able to just air it out and continue to air it out. Those numbers don't add up enough. Only threw for 196 yards, did get a touchdown, but also has had an interception in every week except week 2. And then his playoff schedule, if you decide to roster him through the end of the year, does not look favorable through the playoffs. You've got Cleveland, Kansas City, and Denver. And I'm not happy with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I am selling Derek Carr. Obviously, Josh Jacobs has been hurt the first, missed 2 weeks and then was, okay this week as far as injury goes, coming off the injury, but to his ankle, but also they were trailing. Derek Carr currently is tied for second in the league in passing attempts. And when Josh Jacobs is healthy, that's not going to be the case. Once he's fully healthy, plus, like you said, a pretty tough schedule, up and down there. So if I can trade him away and get some value for him now, I am looking to do so a lot. Not only is he doing, pretty well in fantasy, but he also has some name factor in the NFL as far as real football. People are, finally starting to give him some credit. So they were all talking about it on Monday Night Football, those analysts and stuff like that. So yeah, trade him away. He is a sell for me.
Absolutely. Let's move over to the running back position. Everyone's favorite. Mike, how are you feeling about Dalvin Cook right now? Running back 28. Missed 1 game already so far this week or this season. Alexander Mattison was able to take over. If you've got him, are you trading him away?
If I have him, he's a hold. If I don't have him, I'm actually actively looking to buy Dalvin Cook. It's Dalvin Cook. He has not performed up to what he should, what his expectations are, being the second overall pick in this year's draft. He's got a 14.2% target share as far as receiving goes, and he has 51 carries on only 2 healthy games. And then 9 in last week. But I am looking to go buy Dalvin Cook. I think they kind of limited him against a very tough defense. Plus, they were trailing that game. So I'm going to go to buy him. He's playing Detroit this week, Carolina, then Dallas, Baltimore, Los Angeles. He does have a bye week in week 7, so you might be able to get him a little cheaper because people are gonna have to start planning for that. But if you do buy him though, see if Alexander Mattison is out there, just to handcuff him, because we all know Dalvin Cook's injury history. He didn't do he only missed 2 games the past 2 years. But still, it's always nice to have Mattison, who showed this year he can be a competent handcuff.
So yeah, no, if you don't have Dalvin Cook, he's definitely a buy option for me because he's still got 20 carries in both weeks 1 and 2, the only 2 weeks he's fully healthy, averaging over 4.8 yards per carry. That's just insane touches. So you're looking at someone that's getting 50 touches in 2 games. Last week, obviously, didn't look good. Came back from the injury, was only on the field for 49% of the snaps, and still saw 11 total touches, coming off of 15 opportunities with 6 passes coming his way. Yeah, if whoever Dalvin Cook owner is, possibly is very disappointed with him right now and is looking for it. So if you've got a wide receiver or another player we might be talking about a little bit later, that is overperforming now, swap him out. get your overperforming player, grab Dalvin Cook, who's going to start balling out here in the next week or two.
One thing before we move on to Cordero Patterson, he's only got 1 touchdown this year. Last year he had 17 total. The year before that, 13. Touchdowns are going to come for him. So I mean, I love it. I love going out and buying Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, big fan.
So like I said, let's move on to Cordero Patterson. A name we didn't think we'd hear is the running back 3. And I believe because some leagues you can roster him as a wide running back or a wide receiver. I believe he's the 8th ranked wide receiver. If I'm not mistaken, I don't have that stat right in front of me, but obviously getting a ton of targets, really playing more as a receiver than anything. He currently has a 13.8% target share on that team, and he really didn't even play week 1. And he still hasn't been on the field a ton, but when he is on the field, he's getting, valuable targets and valuable rushing attempts.
He's getting in the end zone. I mean, he's got 5 touchdowns already this season. Last week, he got 3 just coming through the receiving game. 2 of those actually came from little touch passes out of the end zone or out of the backfield. No, he's not being used a lot, but when he is, he's just running downfield and getting yards like every other player should be that's not Cordero Patterson at the running back position. I mean, realistically, you're talking about someone with the frame nearly of a Derrick Henry, but not Derrick Henry.
As close to it as you can get.
The frame of a Julio Jones, but not a Julio Jones frame. Like, the guy's got a really, really weird body shape and just continues to be used in weird ways. He's the replacement for Julio Jones in that offense, in my opinion. He's the one that's been getting the most production out of the yards. If you've got him, I'm right on the fence. If you've got him, you're either holding him and playing him every week because for some reason on 12 touches, the guy can still get 3 touchdowns, or you're trading him away because someone else might really, really value him. I would, if you're in a sleeper league or something like that, I would let everyone in the league know that, hey, he's available, and then just field offers. Look for something that's game-changing. Look to take it over or get something over on someone. Take advantage of the trade. I don't think you're going to be getting running back 3 numbers throughout the rest of the season. I think you're going to be running back 2 numbers nearly weekly, but his name value doesn't bring a lot of trade bait to it. So if you can get something, I would take it.
So yes, he's going to be a sell for me unless I drafted, 0 RB. And I need that second running back. I am going to be selling him high right now. He does lead the league though in yards per touch at 7.9 yards per touch. So that's pretty interesting. My only concern is with Kyle Pitts emerging and, potentially starting to get in a rhythm. He's only 4 games into his NFL career. At what point does he start taking over and Cordero Patterson kind of potentially fade off? That's why I'm going to be selling him, just on the fact that Kyle Pitts is clearly an animal. And there's a reason he went.
Say that.
I mean, I've always said it. I just said his draft capital was too high, but people were taking him as that fourth tight end. And I think we do see that. It's just, it might take a little bit, and that could hurt Cordero Patterson. I'm going to be selling Cordero Patterson high.
Yeah. All right. Moving over. My guy that I jumped off the train for a little too early, James Robinson. Currently running back 8 on the season, has gotten 3 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks and has run for 158 yards over those 2 weeks. Has not been getting the pass catching work that we saw last season, but has still been producing after 2 weeks of complete busting week 1 and 2. We have seen Carlos Hyde stop being used in that backfield nearly as much, but last week we saw James Robinson get 95% of the carries when Carlos Hyde was out of the game. So I am holding James Robinson or buying him. I'm still a huge believer. I think you're going to get a lot of value from him. I do like his end of season schedule, especially the playoffs where you've got the Rams. To finish it up in the playoffs, you got Tennessee, Houston, and then the Jets. Those are 3 teams that are just going to allow a bunch of rushing yards, and I think he's someone that's going to help you really round out your season.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I'm going to be buying, actively shopping. I don't have any shares of James Robinson. I'm going to be actively shopping for James Robinson. I talked about it in weeks 1 and 2, when everybody was down on him and things like that. Carlos Hyde was the biggest concern for me, but him being a healthy scratch, and seeing James Robinson finally get those touches he deserves, because he is a solid running back. And finally getting those touches, I trust him now. I trust Urban Meyer. I just don't trust him around my girlfriend or my wife. But I do trust James Robinson. I am buying him. If you have him, I'm holding him.
Yeah, more than likely. Let's go over to another running back, though. Let's bring up Miles Sanders, possibly the 1A, 1B running back in Philadelphia right now. Up against Kansas City last week, only saw 7 carries while still getting his normal share of about 60% of the snaps, while Kenneth Gainwell seems to be eating into those carries almost equally at this point. If you've got Miles Sanders, he's a trade candidate. I don't know what kind of value you're going to get from him this week or at this point in the season if you haven't traded him already. I'm not comfortable starting him over other players right now, so I'm trading him away, and it kind of hurts.
Yeah, he's a sell. If you want to, you can wait and see if he, he's got 2 tough matchups coming up. Carolina defense has been playing pretty well. And Tampa Bay obviously is Tampa Bay's defense. Other than their passing defense, it's pretty monstrous. So I'm selling, or I'm holding to sell in the future. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. If I can find somebody who will take him, I will do that. Because at the end of the day, he is taking up a roster spot, and you can't start him. I mean, you're not. But if I can hold him until he has a solid game and then find a trade suitor, that's what I will do.
I like it. All right, I'm actually gonna let you bring this guy up. He was your stud of the year last year,
and he was don't forget, he was a guy that you were not leaving drafts without.
I was not, and you shouldn't, because he's currently performing where you should have been drafting him.
So yes, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think you were drafting him around RB 14 or so a little further down. He's currently RB 21 in half PPR league. So, not right there, but I do think that his upside obviously is still there. He's been rushing and running the ball very, very well, averaging over 5.8 yards a carry or more the last 2 games. And he's had 14 or more touches, 13 or more rushing attempts this entire season, 14 or more the last 2 weeks. He's also had 2 passing touchdowns in one in week last week and one in week 3. They're starting to use Clyde Edwards-Helaire more and more. I just hope that he stops the fumbling, because if he doesn't, they're going to start taking those away. My only concern is the passing. He still needs to get more passing work. That's his bread and butter. So I would like to see his targets get up in that 4, 5, 6 range even. But right now it's a good start. I'm buying Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh,
yeah, I am buying Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Well, let me open up the market here, because I'm actually selling.
Okay.
I think if you draft him at this point, I don't think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to have those huge games that you were drafting him to have. I think what we've seen the past 2 weeks, or possibly his ceiling from what you can expect from him. And for that reason, I'm going to be selling. He has been getting about 13 or more carries, but last week still got 15 carries, ran for his 100 yards. Darrell Williams still got 10 carries. He was on the field for 36% of snaps, almost ran for 50 yards, and still got as many catches as Clyde Edwards last week. And that was up against Philadelphia, and then up against the Chargers when it was a complete shootout and the Chiefs ended up losing it. Darrell Williams still on the field for about 30% of the carries, received 7 of the snaps compared to Clyde Edwards 17. I'm selling Clyde just because I think you're going to be able to get value from him right now. If you're unable to sell him, though, right now, you'll probably just ride him out for the rest of the season, because I think his end of season schedule is looking great. Denver, Las Vegas, Chargers, Pittsburgh. So riding out through those playoffs, you have a startable running back too.
Yeah. And one last thing before we move on, he's ranked right now 8th in the league in carries. He's got 58 carries. So, but like I said, his targets, he's 41st. So that's not good. Myles Gaskin, sad. I wish we had that violin music still. I would play that. The Dolphins also sad music. Oh my gosh, man. He only had two rushing attempts. That is all he had this week. Malcolm Brown was the lead back this week, rushing the ball 8 times, 1 target, and Salvon Ahmed had more rushing attempts and targets than Myles Gaskin this week. Do we know what the Dolphins are doing?
No. I mean,
do the Dolphins know what they're doing?
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They're handing the ball off, like they said, to the hot hand. And
hot hand? 2.8 yards a carry is hot hand?
No one on this team is a hot hand, Mike.
Myles Gaskin is.
No,
give him the ball. When you pass him the ball, he has literally averaged over 5 yards carry the first 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, he only carried the ball 5 times in week 2.
That's fine.
If you get 1 20-yard run and you get 1 30-yard run, 1 negative 5-yard run, and 2 0-yard rushes. Are you still saying that's a good day?
That's fine. No, I'm just saying they don't know what they're doing. Give the ball to Myles Gaskin, but unfortunately,
trade Myles Gaskin away. You're not going to be able to get
him
anything for him. There's not a market for Myles Gaskin right now unless you're in. I mean, hey, but if you can get something, I'd take Darnell Mooney over Myles Gaskin right now. Someone offer me Darnell Mooney for Myles Gaskin, I would jump all over it.
Yeah. So the answer then to the question is we're holding him or we're selling him for peanuts.
He's like this close to being droppable.
He's getting there. He is getting there. So, but he does have a nice stretch, 2 weeks of games, Jacksonville, then Atlanta. Could be a bounce back. Maybe hold on to him until then, see what he does, and then trade him away at that point. Maybe he has a little more value. Let's get over to the wide receiver positions. Brandon Cooks. That is John's boy. John, take it away.
I mean, I'll take it away. We're talking about a wide receiver 9 on the league right now. Currently has over a freaking.
He's wide receiver 13. Wide receiver 13.
In half point? Sorry. 9 in full, 0.15 in standard. But dude's got 369 yards on the season right now. Does have only 1 touchdown and has been that team's only valuable receiving option and continues to see the same amount of target share as he did. Only thing that's hurting him right now, possibly Tyrod Taylor not being there, which is the craziest thing in the world to say. Tyrod could be coming back sometime in the next 2 weeks. So I honestly am trying to buy Cooks if I don't have him. And if I do have him, I'm actually trying to sell him. I think just the league's view on him is lower than his true value. If I have him, I'm putting him out there and I'm sending trade offers with him included in it, trying to get another high value piece that is a little bit more consistent. If I don't have him, I'm talking to that player that is rostering and being like, bro, you don't even use Brandon Cooks. You're not playing him. Come on, he's not worth it. I'm trying to buy him cheap from that player. Mainly in the fact that I don't think a lot of people are just hot on him. So I like him, but I also
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I like him, but I think it's how you frame the conversation. He's a holder buy for me, I guess, is the way to answer this question.
Okay. He's a sell for me. I do think there's actually quite a bit of people who, even with Davis Mills, he's still getting the targets and things like that. But he's got a rough stretch of games coming up. New England, Indy, Arizona, Rams, Miami. I'm selling Brandon Cooks. I keep seeing, in a lot of fantasy communities on Facebook and on Twitter and wherever, people like Brandon Cooks,
Wow.
Exactly. So sell him while you can. That's what I'm going to do. I'm selling Brandon Cooks. I know I've been a hater this entire time. And I apologize for that, but I'm going to continue to hate. Not hate. I just think you can get more. This is his the peak value you'll get for him, in my opinion. So I'm going to be selling Brandon Cooks. A.J. Brown, been dealing with some injuries, drafted very highly. Oh, man. Missing. He could have gone off last week. He could have gone off this week. Hopefully he plays. Maybe he doesn't. What are you doing?
Week 2, but he didn't.
What are you doing?
Trading him away. Trading away.
Trading him away.
Trading him away if I've got him. I don't like Ryan Tannehill this year. I don't think Ryan Tannehill is going to be able to put up A.J. Brown numbers for A.J. Brown. Their team's just not cooperating well. And I'm just going to lump in Julio Jones in the same conversation. There's this realm of idea that both these players are going to bounce back and be, standout studs for remainder of season once A.J. Brown's healthy. And if people want to believe that, trade him away. I don't think you're going to get that. I think you're at most going to be getting wide receiver 2 numbers on a weekly basis. I don't think you're going to be getting A.J. Brown from 2019 or A.J. Brown from 2020. All
right. Well, I am going to be holding until he has a good game, and then I'm going to be selling. That is my outlook on it. I'm going to be holding him until he has a good game, selling him high if I can, with that name value and with that, hey, look, he just had a good game. Buy him. So because I agree, I'm off on this. The only Titan, which maybe should have been from the beginning, is Derrick Henry, but so sad.
Learned.
Sad. Brandon Iuke. He has really, really hurt me, John. He has painfully hurt me. Only had one decent week, putting up 12.5 points.
It's only because of a touchdown too.
And yeah. Barely. I mean, he played 47% of the snaps, didn't see one target. Obviously, that was the big story in week 1. 2 targets in week 2, 6 in week 3. Maybe we saw a resurgence. And then week 3 against a putrid Seattle Seahawks defense, we saw, even though there's a rookie quarterback and we only saw 3 targets, 1 catch, 15 yards. John, what are you doing?
Holding. I don't think you're going to be able to get enough value for him. And there's a possibility that the team, when Trey Lance does take over the full load, possibly starts giving the guy the ball. I mean, we talked about earlier the story of the week 1 was that him and Shanahan just were not on the same page and was actually getting punished by Shanahan. He's getting targets now, so maybe he's off the punishment. And maybe we can start some of these targets start coming his way instead of to Deebo Samuel. If you got him, he's on the block for me, but I don't think you're going to be getting a lot of fun offers from him or for him. So I wouldn't try to sell him low because his value is going to be so low.
All right. So here it is for me, and maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment. I'm buying him. I'm buying Brandon Iuke at his floor because it can't get any worse from here.
Oh, it could.
He takes up not 2 points, 1 point, 0 points. Does it?
0
I mean,
points.
he can't.
That's the worst. He got points last week. He can get none next week.
Okay, true. But I'm saying as far as his floor goes, it cannot get any worse. You could just sit him on the bench. But I do think there is a world in which he has a resurgence, gets back on the same page, maybe gets in the good graces of Shanahan, and provides exponential value. I mean, everybody coming into this year, he was one of the guys who was going to break out. And unfortunately, he didn't. It's Deebo right now. So, but we all know about Deebo. Deebo hasn't stayed on the field consistently due to injuries and such like that. I'm going to buy Brandon Iuke, and if I have him, I'm holding him. It's risky. I'm not going to spend a ton, but I'm going to go after that Brandon Iuke owner and trying to.
What kind of value are you trading away for him? Curious.
What kind of value are trading away for him?
Who are you offering?
I don't know. It's hard to just get off the top of my head.
Caliber of player.
I trade wide receiver 2 for him. I trade wide receiver 2. I trade running back, a low end running back 2 for him.
Clyde Edwards Helaire?
No.
Okay.
No.
Miles Sanders for Brandon Iuke?
Yes. Yeah, I do that. I do that in a heartbeat.
Okay. Just bringing in some other names that we've talked about. Let's get over the Bears receiver.
Oh God.
Though.
Oh no, let's not. Let's not do this.
Let's do it.
Let's do this. Allen Robinson, A-Rob. Obviously, the thing going into the season was no matter who the quarterback is, Allen Robinson can produce. Well, that has been proven false. He is currently the 61st overall wide receiver in this league, fantasy-wise. First week started off great as far as targets go. 11 targets, didn't catch them all, only had 35 yards, so it was a poor week, but everyone's like, oh, good. We've got the targets at least. They're there. Okay. Then 4 targets after that. Then Andy Dalton gets hurt halfway through the game, and he only saw 6 targets. And then Justin Fields starts. And now we're here. Now we're here to where he is. It's not good. It's not a good place to be in if you're the Allen Robinson owner. I'm selling. Selling. You're not going to get a ton, but maybe the name value can get something for you. I just don't trust. 1, I don't like Matt Nagy. 2, the whole back and forth with the quarterbacks. I don't think there's going to be any stability there. And with Darnell Mooney showing that he can be a competent receiver and a good option for that quarterback, I think that kind of takes away from Allen Robinson a little bit. So I'm going to be selling A-Rob.
All right, cool. Sell him to me. I'm actually buying A-Rob. I think as we see Justin Fields get more comfortable in that offense, we'll see him being able to throw to Allen Robinson a little bit better than he has. For me, though, I do. I think he's going to hit a roll. I think he's going to get into a rhythm there, and you're going to find yourself with a guy that's putting up quarterback 2 numbers, which should produce at least 1 wide receiver 1 and possibly another wide receiver 2, especially with David Montgomery possibly out for the next couple weeks. What I do like, though, is if Justin Fields continues to play the rest of the season, by the end of the year, you're looking at possibly one of the best wide receiver matchup schedules for someone going into the fantasy playoffs. You got them going up against Arizona, Green Bay, Minnesota, and then Seattle to finish out the year. All of those games are teams that have been letting a lot of passing yards up, have been allowing receivers to ball out. And I think that you're looking at someone that could possibly just be a set and forget after his bye week in week 10. I see everyone's problem right now, but buy at the low point. The guy got 3 targets, 3 catches last week. Buy at the low point. That is his floor. All right.
Robert Woods, currently wide receiver 39. We talked about it go into draft season. Who was it going to be? Cooper Kupp? Was it going to be Robert Woods? And so far, it's been Robert Woods. I guess having breakfast with Matt Stafford every morning has its perks. You get all the targets. But Robert Woods, John, it hurts me. It pains me. It pains me that this is happening. He's got a 23.6% target rate on his team. Obviously, Cooper Kupp is getting much, much more. The highest he's gotten is 9 in one game. Cooper Kupp has double digits every game. Doesn't matter. Do you think there is a way Robert Woods turns it around?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he just starts getting some different targets here. I think it's just a law of averages. Cooper Kupp's definitely going to be the more targeted receiver. We're seeing that. Every game's had more than 10 targets. Robert Woods is still getting targets. In the past 3 weeks, he's gotten 21 targets, which is about 7 per game on average. The problem is he's not catching the ball. And the bright side in all of this, Robert Woods has 2 touchdowns, and we're only at week 4. Robert Woods is not a touchdown-heavy receiver. Last season he had 6, which is tied for his career high.
Yeah.
He's not far off from finishing statistically, from being on pace to finishing statistically where he was last season. And it's only going to take a couple games and a couple good passes. I don't think you're going to be getting a lot of value for Robert Woods, so I'm definitely holding him. And depending on what I'm willing to give up, I'm possibly looking to buy him.
Yeah, I am going to be looking to buy him. I think you're buying him at his floor, close to it. He's currently, like I said, wide receiver 39. So close to that wide receiver 3 spot. I think he gets a little more involved and a little more consistent down the road. Being that we've seen consistent targets the last 3 weeks. He's also got Seattle, Giants, Detroit, Houston, Tennessee coming up, which is a beautiful matchup, our beautiful matchups. I'm buying Robert Woods. I think you don't expect anything more than maybe a low end wide receiver 2. But I think he's a great flex option going forward. Somebody who can really solidify that flex role for you. So I am buying it or holding if I have him.
I think you have to, honestly.
CD Lamb draft value skyrocketed the last few weeks of draft season. Going as early as the second round in some drafts, but mostly the third and fourth. CD Lamb saw massive target share in weeks 1 and 2, but since then has seen a combined 8 the last 2 weeks. Dalton Schultz has really gotten involved in that offense a little bit more, the tight ends in general. John, are you buying, selling, or holding CD Lamb?
I'm buying CD Lamb.
Buying CD Lamb.
Only got 5 targets last week. Still 25% of the targets available. The problem hasn't been CD Lamb. It hasn't been Amari Cooper. It's been Dak Prescott in the game script. Dak Prescott hasn't been throwing the ball 50 times a week since week 1. The past 2 weeks, he's only combined for a total of 48 passes attempted. So you're not going to expect a lot coming from them. But look at the competition they've been playing. Philadelphia turned into a very run-heavy game. Carolina, again, a more run-heavy game. Yeah. You've got the New York Giants coming up. You've got New England Patriots, where we assume Dak Prescott's going to have no problem airing out the ball against them. And then Minnesota, Denver, Kansas City. I am buying CD Lamb. I think that he is at a low point right now, and it's going to be a complete bounce back. And honestly, at this point, I'd buy Amari Cooper too, being the fact that he's coming off this big week limited and only off of 3 targets.
Yep. I 100% agree with what you just said. It's been a run heavy game script the last couple games. Ezekiel Elliott is looking like he's returning to Zeke Elliott, which means, we know this. It's a very high powered offense. They have a stout run game. They have a stout receiving core, and they have an amazing top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback, whatever you want to say. It's going to vary week to week. Right now, with these 2 games down that CD Lamb has, I am buying CD Lamb. I think he's going to have very good value moving forward. So I am buying him as well. Cooper Kupp, currently the wide receiver 2, I believe.
Wide receiver 1 in standard and wide receiver 1 in PPR.
Sheesh, son. Sheesh. He is the wide receiver 1. Don't know why I put 2. Just been massive games. My wife has him. She beat me up in fantasy football with him. He scored more points than my entire team. It was bad. I cried. John, are you selling him at the height? Are you riding him out? Are you holding him? What's happening?
100%. I'm selling him at the hype. As wide receiver 1, these numbers are insane. He's gotten more than 10 targets in every single game. But the problem that makes me believe that these numbers aren't sustainable, and the fact that I do not believe he's going to be the wide receiver 1 much longer, is he's got 5 touchdowns in 3 weeks. Hell, let's even include the week he didn't get one of them. He's got 5 touchdowns in 4 weeks. There's not a receiver in this league that can keep up with that touchdown percentage. So you're definitely not going to expect him to be putting up 2 touchdowns every week. You can expect about 85 yards and about 7 to 8 catches, which is solid, but that's not wide receiver 1 numbers. What you can do, though, is trade the number 1 wide receiver in this league for a high-end running back that's possibly underperforming, being that you drafted this guy as your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. I think you just sell him at the height and expect his numbers to slowly decline, but expect him to still be a good player. I'm not saying that he's going to fall off. The value for him right now is just incredible.
Yeah, I know. I agree that the value is incredible. I'm going to be holding Cooper Kupp. I'm not going to be buying. I'm not going to be selling. I'm not going to go looking for it, because if you do go to buy, it's going to be ridiculously high. I think that he can be a league winner. I think that, yes, he is on a ridiculous pace, and I don't think it sustains, but I do think that he has enough value to where he'll put up enough or give you enough value to where you, like you said, you didn't draft him as your wide receiver 2. Well, maybe you did, but more than likely you drafted him as wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, or even a flex option. I think this guy could be a league winner for a lot of people, especially if they have him in that flex. I mean, shoot, just alone in our listener league, he's the flex option in a 3 wide receiver league, and that's helping that guy win so far. I think he could be a league winner if you can have him in that flex spot or wide receiver 3-2 spot. So I am going to ride the hot hand with Cooper Kupp. I know you might be missing out on some value, but at the end of the day, he eats breakfast with Matt Stafford every morning. I mean, they said it on Monday Night Football like 55 times. So
the only way that you have Cooper Kupp sitting in your flex position though is if you went a 0 RB strategy, which is what the guy.
Or you're in a 2 wide receiver league.
Okay. Let's say you went a 0 RB strategy. You're not going to sell Cooper Kupp off to help you solidify your running back position at this point in the season?
No, there's no need. Unless
give me Dalvin Cook for Cooper Kupp straight up.
If the Dalvin Cook owner will take that. I'm just saying, I think
probably
Cooper Kupp's a league winner. He's a league winner. Yeah, he's a league winner.
I think he's done his best work up to this point, and at this point, you need to sell him off before he's not that valuable anymore. And now he's definitely a low-end wide receiver 1.
All right. Well, let's talk about somebody we will agree with or agree upon. Tyler Lockett, currently the wide receiver 5. Booming, baby. The first 2 weeks, he's doing Tyler Lockett things. In my opinion, he is a sell. He's a sell candidate. And if you listen to the podcast, you didn't even draft him. So you don't have him on your team. But he's doing Tyler Lockett things. He booms, he busts. He's going to lose you more weeks than he does win you them. And that's my thing with Tyler Lockett. We see it year in, year out. You okay, John? You look mad.
Yeah, I'm just checking. You said wide receiver 5?
Yeah, isn't he?
I've got him a wide receiver 9 in standard and 10 in PPR.
Half PPR. He is wide receiver 9. Sorry. Don't know why I have 5 there.
Just wasn't trying to, just keeping up. Honestly, this kind of goes straight into where we were with Cooper Kupp, in my opinion. You're selling him instantly. There's no question about it. Except Cooper Kupp gave you something if you decided not to sell him. He gave you stability at a receiver position. Tyler Lockett gives you nothing. Tyler Lockett gives you, I'm going to tell you exactly what I said before the season. Tyler Lockett is going to boom, and then people are going to continue to play him and just chase the boom like a drug addict chasing a high. It is not something you want to be doing. Yeah. He's going to lose you weeks just like he did the last week.
My only thing with the Cooper Kupp analogy is Cooper Kupp is seeing consistent targets.
Yeah.
And we'll continue to see consistent targets. Even on his bad week, he still had 13 targets. Mm-hmm. So I don't see like Tyler Lockett and Cooper Kupp. I don't think they're even close to the same player. One has a solid floor with a massive ceiling. Tyler Lockett has a bad floor with a even bigger ceiling. I mean, we can see him put up 45-point games. But I agree with you in the fact that he's going to lose people more weeks than he's going to win them more weeks. So I am selling him high if I can do that.
Yeah, you have to. There's no reason you should be roster going at this point. Get as much value as you can from him.
Yep. Let's move over to the tight end position. We've got 4 tight ends that we want to talk about before we start breaking down that Thursday night game. Kyle Pitts, currently the tight end 21. He was drafted as a 24. But that's okay. He's been seeing targets, which is what I like. I talked about it a little bit when we talked about Cordero Patterson. I kind of think that he's going to be seeing some regression, and Kyle Pitts will start seeing aggression, an increase in fantasy points. He currently has a 17.1% target share, which is 9th among tight ends. And he has the 3rd most routes run for a tight end, 135. Also, it doesn't hurt the fact that his team is passing it an average of 40.3 times a game, which is 7th in the league. I think Kyle Pitts, you're buying him. I think people are, a little upset with his production, even with his target share. They're upset being the tight end 21. It's not good.
So he's tight end 21, but he's one touchdown away from being a top 12 tight end. If he would have scored a touchdown at any point this season, he would have boosted up in the stats. Kyle Pitts, slow start, buy him up because he's going to continue to get more comfortable in offense. And Matt Ryan, who had a slow start as well, is going to start putting up bigger numbers every week. I expect Kyle Pitts to be better by week 8 than he is right now. So buy him up if you can, but it's a tight end. You're only so confident ever.
I do think that he can be a top 4 tight end in the back half of the season. I think that's where he's going to return value. I said that during the draft. I said that during the draft period where it's going to take him some time to get used to this offense and really get going. But when he does, he's going to be a top tier tight end. The talent's there. It's just, can they connect? George Kittle. George Gregory Kittle. No bueno. He's tight end 11, which is good. Top 12 tight end. Just not return on the value that you picked him up for, John. You liked him, going into the drafts and things like that. What's your thought here? Are you buy, selling, or holding George Kittle?
I think you're putting him up for sale, but I don't think you're going to get the value that he's worth. If you drafted him as your tight end 1 and you spent the draft capital on him, he's more than likely still going to be the best option you have going forward. He's getting more targets than a majority of the tight ends the past 2 weeks. He's gotten 20 targets in the last 2, 11 catches, 130 yards-ish. I still think we see George Kittle being a great option for you. You're definitely not going to buy him right now because of the poor performance and the fact that he's been getting injured. He does have a lingering finger issue right now. He missed a little bit of time in practice on week 2. He was doubtful coming into the week. It's a scary situation. I'm just not comfortable jumping on it, but I'm not running away from it. I don't think you're going to get the value worth trading him away.
Yeah, so I'm holding him, and honestly, if I'm very, very tight end needy, like if I'm streaming weekly, if I'm streaming weekly and I have the capital to go get George Kittle right now, I will do that. I will buy George Kittle. He does have a 24.6% target share in his offense, which is second in the league. But he is being banged up, and he's always banged up. That's the issue with him. He plays very, very physical. I think if Trey Lance is the quarterback for the next couple weeks while Jimmy G is hurt, which is up in the air right now, I think that could be a very big benefit to George Kittle. It could be a very big benefit. It could be a nice guy that he knows is open, knows he can throw the ball to, get the ball to him. And I mean, he saw 11 targets this week. So I would either hold or buy George Kittle if the price is right.
Yeah, I wouldn't go spending up, but I agree. He's definitely worth it.
Dalton Schultz. Is he this
Trade
year's Robert Tonyan?
No, just trade him away.
He's not this year's Robert Tonyan? I mean, he's
currently he's starting off the year really hot. He's not going to have 10 touchdowns by the end of the season. He's not going to be at 800 yards. It's a great start. Trade him away now. If you've rostered him, if you've decided to pick him up off the waivers, trade him away now. That is my honest opinion. Yes, he's got the targets. Unless you're in there streaming a tight end, you trade him away because you're really going to try to hold this guy who's going to have no value if he has one bad week.
I don't think he has much value now. I don't, just solely due to his name. He does not have much value. I don't think he's a tight end. 2, it's not like he's a top tier wide receiver.
No.
He's playing well for a tight end. I'm going to hold him because if you are streaming tight ends, I think you have a guy you can comfortably play week to week. And so I'm going to hold. I'm going to hold on Dalton Schultz.
No, I'm definitely selling. You're selling on the fact that he's literally got the tight end 4 number next to his name, and that's what you're going off of. He's got the consistent targets. I think you can create the value there. If you're able to sell away Sam Darnold, or anyone's interested in buying Sam Darnold, there's still people that are going to be interested in buying Dalton Schultz just based off the consistency that he's put up. If you're not able to buy him, if you're not able to sell him away, though, you're not dropping him. It's definitely rosterable and definitely a hold. I think that you're going to find the value there.
Dope. And finally, Sir Rob Gronkowski, currently tight end 3, missed the game in New England, missed the game in potentially missing the game this week against Miami, which would be nice for us Miami Dolphins fans. I'll keep it short and sweet. I think Gronk is in a high-powered offense and a team that throws the ball a ton. And he looks good when he's on the field. I'm holding Rob Gronkowski. And buying if the price is right, but I'm holding Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, he's a hold. I think he's going to be a little expensive for most people, but again, if the price is right, you can pick him up. Even in week 3, going up against the Rams, was only on the field for 60% of the time and still saw 7 targets and had a 7.5-point game, which is a very solid number for a tight end not getting a touchdown. So Gronk is almost a must-start tight end almost weekly at this point.
100%. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into our Thursday night fantasy football preview. The game is going to be a good one. Los Angeles Rams going up against the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Let's see. Quarterbacks. I mean, I think you're starting both of them, Matt Stafford, Russell Wilson. I don't think we're gonna
at that
disagree
point
there. I think I would start Matt Stafford over Russell Wilson.
I'd agree there.
Going to the running backs, the only 2 running backs, in my opinion, that are worth anything. Daryl Henderson, a little banged up, but I think he's just getting a little bit of rest. I don't think he practiced in full yesterday.
No, he was limited yesterday.
At the end of the day, I think he plays. I think he's another good start. You're starting him, nice running back 2 option for you there, in my opinion. But Chris Carson didn't practice yesterday at all. Does have a neck injury. That's a game time. I'm assuming it's going to be a game time decision if they don't come out today and say what's happening.
I'm honestly just going to stay away from him. I'm not going to be throwing him in there because of what happened with Alex Collins last week. Even if, it was due to an injury coming up. We've seen throughout the beginning of the season, they started fading more and more people into that running back role, letting everyone get some touches and everyone get some carries. And I think we're just going to see more of that. Chris Carson's kind of a very weak flex option for me, even if he plays in a full capacity. I do like Daryl Henderson as that running back too, though.
All right. Yeah, Chris Carson, he does worry me. I agree. I want to see where he goes. If I have an option to pivot to as far as the running back goes, then I will. If I don't, he's going to be risky as hell to play. Especially with a neck injury. That's, they don't take those lightly. So,
running back position.
Yeah. Are you interested at all in Alex Collins?
No, absolutely not. I think
what if Chris Carson doesn't play?
Like we saw last season when Chris Carson was out for those couple games, they just rotate people through. Yeah. It's not going to be a handcuff situation where one person's going to obviously take over. It is just going to be let's keep everyone rested. Whoever's got the most juice, send them out there. And DJ Dallas did fine last year. Alex Collins did fine last week. Travis Homer even had a good game last year. I think they're not going to be handing it to one person particularly.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the receivers. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, I think you're both must starts. Very, very good starts this week. Van Jefferson, I think, could be a nice flex option, especially with Tyler Higby banged up. He did have a injury designation. I don't think it's there anymore. I don't see it there. But so yeah, I like Van Jefferson as a sneaky flex option this week. How about yourself?
I like Kupp, obviously. I like Woods. I think if you've got Van Jefferson, you might be able to throw it in there. This matchup should be a very pass-heavy game. Both teams allowing a lot of yards and both teams putting up a lot of yards. So, and it being divisional, yeah, you can flex in Van Jefferson. But I also think that you have to start Lockett and Metcalf in this game as well.
Yeah, more than likely you're going to, depending on how your roster looks. I'm not comfortable with it. But you're going to
with which one, Lockett or Metcalf?
Both. I'm not.
Really?
I mean, I'm not comfortable with Lockett because of his ups and downs. I'm not. I mean, yes, he can boom, but I don't say it's a 100% thing that he's going to. DK Metcalf, he didn't do too hot against them last year. And if he gets the Jalen Ramsey treatment, that could be rough. It could be a rough day for him. I mean, I think you're starting him. I mean, I don't think you don't start him, but I just think you're going to temper your expectations, I guess.
You could. Let's remember, though, when DK Metcalf got shut down last year by Jalen Ramsey, Tyler Lockett went off for like a 3-touchdown, 200-yard game almost.
True. So one's going to pop and one's going to not.
I think we find a little bit of consistency in both of them. I think both of them finish as wide receiver 2s on the week, but you need to play them. You have to play them because of the upside that they could come with.
Right. Well, yeah, I agree.
Can't bench them.
I agree. How about the tight ends? Tyler Higby, Gerald Everett.
Ooh, the reunion of the tight ends. I actually don't think you're playing either of them. I'm not interested in either of them. Really, Higby probably going to have a rough day. And then if Everett is coming back off of COVID, I'm still not comfortable touching him. Even in his best game, only 5 targets, 5 catches for 50 yards. It's a moderate streaming option at that point.
Yeah, I think you can stream. I went out and picked up Dawson Knox, dropped Tyler Higby this week. I'm playing Dawson Knox over him. So kind of tells you how I feel about it. And then as far as Gerald Everett, he's banged up. I'm not really trusting him at all.
Yeah, not at all.
So, awesome.
And I'm not fading to Will Dissly or anyone else if Everett does not get off COVID before this week.
No. So, all righty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, join the Discord. The link is in the description, and smash that little bell right next to the subscribe button so you know when we launch videos and when we go live. So, John, got anything to say before we head out?
Yeah, guys, make sure you are joining this Discord. It is an incredible place to be. Make sure you guys are also tuning in on Sundays for those Start Sit live streams where you can see our beautiful faces helping you each and every day. And then obviously Mike Zero RB strategy videos that are coming out every week are only for you guys on YouTube. So make sure you guys give them some love. Let them know that you love that series. And it should be coming out soon if it hasn't already this week, I believe.
It has already come out. It came out last night. Again, we apologize for our
inability to live stream.
Yes, we did not. My hotspot was not hot. It sucked. It was bad. So we weren't able to do that, but we are going to have a fix for when we are at the Dolphins games moving forward. It may not be us on the live stream, but we will have somebody, whether it's Bookie Buter Brad or Hugh on here. We will have them, or we're going to talk to them. They don't know that yet, but we're going to talk to them about helping us out, and they're very knowledgeable, as you guys know. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We love you. We'll see you next time here on the Fantasy Tap.
Hi, everyone.